Good afternoon. Today is Wednesday, April 13th of 2016. Welcome to our Wednesday webinar on educational blogging. Blogging is more than chatter. Um, we're, we are so glad to have you here. Let me have you each enter into the text chat box what school you are coming from. Stephanie, we see you in the attendees. All right, we have Thomas from NVLA. Thanks for being back, Thomas. Del Sol, Brinley, Dondero Elementary, Forbes Elementary, Hal Smith, Parson, Hinman, Daly, Hurd, Hewitson, lots of elementary school folks with us today. Liberty, Legacy High Schools, Von Tobel Middle School, Cloud Perkins, Lamping, and Daly Elementary. Wonderful. Well, we are so glad to have each of you here with us today. My name is Mark Oakton. I am the coordinator that gets to work with instructional technology. I get to work with these great digital coaches. We have 4 of our digital coaches who are going to share their expertise on blogging with you today. Mark Thomas, Kirsten Baschnagel, Luenda Norman, and Jesus Diaz. And I'm grateful for them taking their time to share a little bit with you. Our agenda today, we're going to look at why we might want to use blogging in the classroom. What are the purposes of using it? What are the pedagogical need to use it, and how can it benefit your kids using it in the classroom? And also using blogs for your own professional growth is something that we will definitely address today. All right, I'm going to close my door because I have some outside noise and turn the time over to Mark Thomas.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. The first thing I guess that we need to talk about is what is blogging exactly. Blogging started out as an online journal or diary where folks would post their thoughts and feelings and ideas and share everything about themselves online. And people got word of that and would start to follow them and subscribe to their postings, their diary or whatever. And so then we become kind of a log of multiple days of sharing information, and that became a weblog, and we shortened that to a blog. So a blog is a perfect place, an online place for you or for students to express themselves without, well, with some hindrance, within some guidelines, but basically express themselves. It's a place to share thoughts, to share passions, things that they're interested about, and it allows them to have their online digital space and teachers as well. So why would you want to blog? Why would you want to put yourself out there for the world to read or to have your students do that? Well, the boring reason is because the standards tell you that you should. If you look at the NVACs in the writing standards, starting way down in kindergarten and going all the way up to 12th grade, you have this standard that says that with some guidance and support from adults, students will use technology, including the internet, to produce and publish writing as well as to interact and collaborate with others. And so blogging fits in perfectly with the standards, giving those students that opportunity to write and share and to collaborate. Now that's the boring reason, because we always have standards that we have to follow. But my real reasons that I feel students should be blogging is because it gives them an authentic audience. Now think about it for a minute. Your typical writing assignment that we give students, you know, teachers, we're control freaks and we want to control everything about what students do. So we give them a writing assignment and we tell them what they have to write about. We tell them how long it has to be, how many sentences have to be in each paragraph, and so on. And then we have them turn that writing assignment into the teacher, and the teacher is the only one that sees it. Well, that's not really that motivating to want to write and do your best. So with blogging, when students can put their thoughts and their ideas out there on the internet, this is their audience that they then have. They can literally have the entire classroom if you limit it to that. They could have multiple classrooms if you make connections that way. Or if you allow them to publish publicly, then they can literally have the internet, the world at their feet, reading their writing. And that is a huge motivator to want to write more and to write relevant things and to improve their writing process. So authentic audience to me is a big reason for blogging, especially with students. Another reason is that it actually gives all students a voice. We have those shy ones in our classroom that really don't participate much in class, that may not raise their hand every time we have a class discussion or participate in that discussion. But if we give them that forum, that medium of being able to publish their thoughts on a blog, then you get to hear more students and more of what they have to say. And students really have some awesome things to say and some awesome things to share about. So authentic audience and student voice are huge reasons for blogging. Plus, again, if you connect, even within your classroom, if you limit blogging to just within your classroom, you have an opportunity for increased collaboration. Students can comment on each other's blogs and further some discussions. They can have debates. They can delve deeper into a topic and share resources and things like that. If you expand that and let them connect with other classrooms around the world, then that expands that collaboration and dialogue even more. And students really get to the feel that there is a bigger world out there. We're not limited to just what we know here in Las Vegas. Blogging also gives you an opportunity, or gives students an opportunity to showcase their work. You can have students blogging about and sharing things that they've done in class, artwork if you're an art teacher, photography, passion projects that they might be doing. They can showcase anything that they're doing in class. Because everything is stored on the internet through blogging, you also have an opportunity to develop a digital portfolio over a period of time. If you were to use blogging throughout the course of the year, you would have all of those blog entries as evidence of student growth in writing, and develop that perfect digital portfolio that they can take with them wherever they go. Now, we know that students are going to get on the internet no matter what we do, and so if you do blogging in your classroom, you can help them develop their digital citizenship, teach them proper ways of communicating online, proper ways of commenting, giving meaningful and in-depth comments to others. And it just gives you an opportunity to reach all the learners, because not everybody in your classroom likes to write on paper pencil. Some do much better digitally when they write. Others might need the multimedia aspect of that to help them show their learning or develop that. So to get started with blogging, one of the things we're going to do today in this webinar is show you a couple of blogging platforms. But before you even get started, you need to take care of the nitty-gritty. You need to establish your expectations with the students, let them know what your rules and your guidelines for blogging are. How often can they blog? What can they blog about? All those little digital citizenship rules about not bullying and being respectful in your comments and what makes a good comment, those kinds of things. You also want to make sure you involve all of your stakeholders in your classroom. You're putting your students' work out there on the internet, so parents need to be aware of that. So definitely develop a parent letter to share with the parents to let them know what you're doing with blogging. Give them the URL to the blog so that they can participate. And they can even leave comments and see what other students are doing. Make sure you have a good management in place, a good plan for monitoring of those blog posts. How often are you going to review them? Perhaps how often are you going to assess them? Are you going to moderate them so that you get to see what's on the blog before it actually gets posted up there for the public to see? Those kinds of things. And keep in mind that because this is online work involving the computers, that all students must have a signed AUP on file, which we generally keep track of with Independent Campus nowadays. And last thing is just make sure you address any parent concerns. Who has access to the blog? Who can see it? Who can get on there? That type of thing, whether it has public access for commenting or things like that. So now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty and show a few examples of blogs that are good examples of how students can do that, and I'm going to turn that over to Lorenda to show you those.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Hello, everyone. I'm going to do a screen share right now, and I apologize for my voice. I am getting sick. And I'm going to share with you some different blogs that you can look at. This Symbaloo you guys will all have a link to, so you'll have all of these resources. So if we even just look at Mark Thomas, who is our CCSD expert blogger, he keeps a blog as well. This is him. Sorry, Mark, I didn't have Superman. I could only find Captain America. And he keeps a blog where he talks about Skyping, Mystery Skype. This is talking about how to create blogs and comments. So here's his. Everything is labeled. I mean, it's just a great blog. Our local guy. And everything is archived as well. Here's an example of a 7th grade classroom, and they're using KidBlog. You can tell, let me go back really quick, Mark uses Blogger. The three that we're mainly going to address today are Blogger, KidBlog, and EduBlog. So Mark uses Blogger for his. This is Mrs. Rip's class, 7th grade class, and she's using KidBlog. And here are all the posts, just different things from the students, their comments are posted in here. It also, she has a widget that shows how many people have visited, where they're visiting from, and these are the members of them. We could join her class, but I'm sure it's blocked, which is nice. Here's an example of the 3rd grade class. This is also on KidBlog. And the format's changed a little bit since I've looked at it lately. I mean, they have these nice, they've squared things up, and it looks a lot cleaner, I think. So here's Connor's blog about what he's writing about. And that's a lot of text for a 3rd grader, so that's quite impressive, actually. And if I wanted to if I wanted to comment back to him, I'm sure I couldn't. It would ask me to log in, and I wouldn't have rights to do that. Here's an example of a librarian who uses blogs. She's using EduBlog, which is, it tends to be more towards the upper grade levels, you know, secondary and middle school, high school. And she just has this, all the kids, it's for the library. So it's things that are going on in the library. They can subscribe, what they did last week. They have recent posts, fun animal research. So she's just, you know, curating everything and keeping it all in here for the students to find. They can look at book trailers, and I'm pretty sure the students made these book trailers. So the students are doing work, and she's uploading the book trailers into her blog, you know, for the entire class to see. So it says the students made them. Another example, here's a teacher blog. And this is also an EduBlog. So this one, they're talking about images. Should they post the image? These are recent posts, or down the side. Here are the pages. Teacher Talk has a home page, an about page telling you about the class, discussing a digital footprint. So this is nice too, because then the parents could also go in and see this. She has how to contact them, just all kinds of resources in there for teachers and students. Here's an example of a class blog. Now this particular school, you can tell they purchased, there's EduBlogs, and then you can, if you purchase for the whole school, so it takes out, you can have it a unique name, so it doesn't have the EduBlog in the URL address. So they just have everything about their school that's going on in there. And you can tell they've won awards for their blogging and what's going on. So they have the academics, you know, by subject areas. So if they need to specifically go look, Spanish students learn about different cultures and what's going on in there. And it's, you know, this is written by Megan Lay, so the students are contributing. They even have a staff writer. Love that. Yeah, and we're going to get into this in a minute. So these are just some of the examples of different ways that teachers are using blogs, students are using blogs. And now what we're going to do is go back through and we're going to look at KidBlog, EduBlogs, and Bloggers. So I'll share back to Kirsten, and she can go over how to set up a KidBlog, if that, because I know there's a lot of elementary school teachers, and that may be the way you want to go.
Well, hello. Thank you, Lorenda. So we are going to look at KidBlog. And KidBlog, I'm going to go through this a little bit. Start here. Some of the pros and cons about KidBlog that are out there. They have, unfortunately, converted it to a paid subscription. It's $36 per year, but they do give you a 30-day trial. I know that precludes it a lot for a lot of different people, but I think some of the features of it are very, very good and very, very helpful, especially for the elementary students who'd like to use it. They have the ability to go through the writing process. You can use it on your mobile. You can either do a class blog, or you can just have the students have their own accounts so that they can post things that they want to. The biggest thing about KidBlog, especially for the elementary school, is that the person who owns the blog, so for example the teacher, she or he can moderate the posts and comments and approve them as they go along, which is, that's been a wonderful, wonderful thing. Really funny story, we did this with second graders, and I was the moderator, so one day I got a little lazy and I just kind of said, okay, everybody's comment is fine. And the teacher found one that said something a little off color, but nothing, it's something an 8-year-old would say, nothing terrible, but just inappropriate. And boy, did that teacher, the classroom teacher, use that as a good teaching moment, and that girl lost her privileges. But it turned out that it was very good that it went through, but hopefully, I didn't drop the ball again after that. I made sure I looked at everything much closer. And it's not blocked by the filter. So those are some really good things about KidBlog, and $36 a year for, you can have as many classes as you want, so even if you are using it in a middle school setting because you want to moderate the posts and comments, $36 a year, you know, maybe you can squeeze that out of your administration possibly, but it is very worthwhile. So I'm going to do an app share, and we're going to jump into looking at KidBlog. No, not that one. Desktop. And that. Oh, and I put this in the text chat for those elementary teachers. This teacher, Ms. Yawlis, she has her class has a blog, and she actually had her students create an amazing video on how to write good comments. You know, a lot of times kids will be like, wow, that was great. So it helps teach them how to expand and how to write good comments. So I put a link to this video in the text chat if you're interested, but it is really good teaching the kids how to comment. All right, so KidBlog. It's kidblog.org, and when you first go to it, you'll create your account. It asks you if you want to sign up with Google. So if you have your CCSD Google account, it's nice to be able to have that one-click access, even when you're signing up for things, because it'll pull your information from Google. When you first get into it, you're going to want to create yourself a class. Put my dashboard here. When you first open it up and you've signed in, you'll get to the dashboard here, and then you can create a new class, give it a name, describe it as you wish, and then you'll have your class here. Once you get into your class, you can adjust your settings for the class. So if I needed to change the names, I have no students in there, I can choose an avatar. Now, this is for the class, but when you put your students in, they also have the ability to add avatars so that they have pictures for themselves. They can upload files. I personally, again, I did this with elementary students. We used the media library and avatars here, and I had them choose from what was given. It's just another way to talk about internet safety with kids and let them know we don't really need to have our face, our picture online. There are other things that we can use to represent ourselves. So it's just a nice, tiny little mini lesson on good internet safety protocol. So you have them choose from there. And then once they choose their avatar, they add it, and then it becomes their little picture, which is always very nice. Where is my, oh, I lost my, oh, look at me. Oh, that's because I didn't say use avatar. There we go. So now I'm back to my settings page. I can choose themes. So again, I have some things that I can choose to have as my background. And on the right-hand side are my widgets. So you can see my name. I can have categories for the blogs, links to different things, tags, and then like Lorenda showed in one of the examples, I don't know if, I don't remember if that was the kid blogs, but there's different widgets you can add, like where people are when they're viewing your blog. So kind of fun. Privacy, again, you want to really look at this. Public, again, as much as we want everything out for the world to see, because that's what we're trying to get, is that global audience like Mark was talking about, maybe at the beginning you want to have the reins in a little tighter, just so that your kids learn things the right way first. So that is a good way. So who may comment on published posts? Right now, class members, connections, and guests, but I get to moderate and I get to choose whether I like what they've said or not. All right. Categories, we can add different categories so that we can sort our blogs. Connections, we can look for other classes, so you can connect with other classes, and then even if your blog is not public, that other class has the ability to see what your class is writing about. Think of it like Pen Pals for 2016. So it's kind of a neat way to do that. The two classes that I worked with, they were at the same school, but we had them connect with each other and comment on each other's blogs, and it was very fun for them. They enjoyed doing that. To get back to my dashboard, excuse me, if I click on the K, that brings me back to my dashboard. And then once I've adjusted my settings, my avatar, all that good stuff like I want to add some students. So I'm going to click Users, and then on the right-hand side it says Create Students. I can bulk upload them, which is probably the quickest way if you're dealing with elementary. Again, in middle school and high school, if you're using this, you can use a join code similar to Edmodo or Google Classroom that the students would put in, and they'd create their own accounts. But the bulk upload, you just create a spreadsheet, which is, you save it as a CSV file, and you add the information that you need, display name, password, boom, done. And when you've gotten it, you choose your file, you pull it up, and it pulls your kids in. So it's a nice quick way to add students. But you could always just add them one at a time if you'd like. Again, that's great for when later in the year maybe you've gotten a new student. You don't need a bulk upload, you just need to add one. So that's very useful. I come back after I've added my students, and I don't, excuse me again, don't have students in this one because I just did my new trial on this one. My other trial ran out. I want to go to my blog. So I'm going to click on it. Here is my blog. I've got my background that I chose, my avatar, and now this is where we go and I start my post. So up here I've got new post. I can put an image in, I can add a title, and this right here is really nice, the text box. It's very similar to most of the word processing boxes that kids see all over the place. It looks like you can bring stuff in right from Google Drive, which is fantastic, being a Google district now. And then I can kind of choose some of the other things, change my color, my texture. Oh, look at that. Just to have a little fun with it. So it's nice for the students when they're able to customize things for themselves, because once they create their account, they will get their own, they can have their own blog as well as post on yours. I'm going to cancel that. As a teacher, you can set your profile, get your information correct. Make sure your display name's how you'd like it. You have your IDs, my email address that I'm using, all of that kind of stuff, that just to make it nice and informative. And then you'll welcome your students with a blog, and when you publish it, let's go back here, new post, title, welcome, hello students. And when I'm finished, I can either just put it in a draft, I can review it, or I can publish it. Now, when students go in this mode, when they put it into review, it sends it right to you, and then when you get it, you have the opportunity to read it over and approve it and publish it. Me, since I'm the teacher, I don't have to approve it. Haha. I'm going to publish it to my students, and now it will be there for them. And you can see that this is our first blog, hello students, and then they can create comments on this for me. And again, really important to teach them how to comment productively. It's, you know, we worry a lot about them saying inappropriate things, but I think it's more important, especially in this day and age, that we teach them that texting language, not really useful in put in a blog. You don't really want to use that. An occasional smiley face is all right, but I don't want to see a lot of LOLs. Explain to me, why did that make you laugh? So really hit those kinds of things with comments and in the blogs. I think those are even more important than using the blog itself, is the writing behind it. So that's pretty much it. When you go, you'll get email notifications when students post things or when they comment, and then you can go right into the panel and check those. And so right here where it says posts to, comments, right here, if there were comments in here, I could just click right here. It would bring up all the comments, and then it would give me the, you can see up here where it says approved or unapproved. So it'll show me, if I click on just unapproved, it'll show me all the unapproved comments. I can read through those quickly and either approve or not, and then go on my way. The same thing with posts. So when that comes up, I can review things and approve whether or not I would like the students to post that or not. A lot of times with the second and third graders I worked with, it was more like, okay, this is all right, but what else can you add? How can you tell me more? How can you explain this better to me? Because we did some stuff. We started off really hard on commenting, and they were commenting on reading things that they read. So I was trying to pull more out of them for the writing component of it. But then, at the same time, we told them, okay, well, this is what I'd like you to do for me. However, you have your own page. I'm really interested to see what you had to say about things you like. And these kids were writing over the weekend. It was a lot of fun to read what they wrote. They wrote about their weekends, camping. So it's very interesting to see what kids, especially younger ones, have to share. So are there any questions that I need to address? Anybody there before I hand this back?
No, they're not on the text chat.
Fantastic. Then I am going to end my screen share. And we are back over here. So I think I'm handing it off to Jesus to talk about Blogger.
Oh, wait, I think I was going to do EduBlogs first. Is that okay, Jesus?
That's perfectly fine.
Okay. So EduBlogs is another format. It says free and $40. So if you want certain, in order to like embed a video, certain things you have to upgrade to a pro account. It does have an iPad app. I know KidBlog used to have an iPad app, but they no longer do. There is autonomy. You can customize it and it is not blocked by the filter. And no classroom management unless you actually pay for it and do the classroom type of thing. So I'm going to do a screen share and go over to the Kid blog. Oh, I'm sorry, the EduBlog. And anytime if you need to zoom in on my screen, if you just click the plus sign on yours, you can zoom in and see things a little better. One thing I did notice real quick that I noticed with the Kid blog that is new to me, they do allow you to view things differently now. It used to always look like this. And so now you can look at it in a list or in blocks or images. So that's pretty cool. So even like this kid today, I noticed they have actually written today. This was today the 13th. He wrote all of his, and one kid commented back, "I like it, man." So maybe they need to talk more about how to reply to each other's blogs and stuff. But I was just pointing this one out because I was a little, in Clark County, we are very aware of putting students' names and everything out there. And it seems like this class just has a lot of kids' names everywhere. Some of them will have the first and last names. But I digress. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to EduBlogs. EduBlogs is a little more difficult. Kid blog is very simple, so you just go to edublogs.org and you sign up if you want to get a free trial, or it is free, or if you already have one and get a login. I'm going to go ahead and log in. And remember, mine is a mess because I just play on mine for things like this. I don't actually have it built out. And what you'll get when you first log in is you do get the dashboard. So if we look at the top here, you get My Sites. I could click here and go to my dashboard or visit my site and see what it actually looks like. So right now, if I wanted to go look at it, it's not very pleasing. It just looks like a big mess with a bunch of words. So I'm going to go back into my dashboard and look at a couple things that you can do. It will walk you through things. So like to write a new blog or customize right away, choose your theme of what you want things to look like. So I get these options. And if you notice right away, if I think, oh, that one looks really cool, it's EduBlogs Pro only. So the ones that look really awesome are going to cost you some money. This little plain one right here, yeah, I could have it, but not that one. I could have this one. So you would just go around and find which one works for you. It seems like all the nice ones are Pro only. So I'm just going to switch to this one. Oh, I'm actually. So you choose your theme of what you want it to look like. And my EduBlogs have been a little slow today. I'm not sure why. So we'll give that a second. Oh, that's the same thing I already had. You can change a little bit of it. So if I click change. Oh, that one's the same thing. Yeah, sorry about that. Never mind. Click out of that. So I'm in my appearance. I can add widgets. I can add backgrounds. The first thing I want to do also is just go back to settings, just the general settings of my entire blog. So this is going to give me my site title. So I could call it Mrs. Norman's Class, Geometry, whatever I wanted to call it. And then my tagline is what's going to appear below it. This is my email address. It's populated for me. I get one through EduBlogs. I've never used it. You can figure out your date format, how you want it to read, your time format, when the week starts, and show logged in and logged out visitors. So I'm going to go ahead and save those changes. And if I visit my site, that would be updated and showed as well. If I click on writing, so I can say I can convert emoticons because we like to use those so that it automatically goes into a graphic display. WordPress, that's a little advanced there. Default post category, and I don't have anything on there, or I could have it go to the side, into a gallery, a link. So just telling things that will happen when they're writing. My front page, what I want it to show is my latest post, or if I just want the same page all the time to show as my front page, I could do that as well. Or I prefer it's a blog, so we might as well see the latest post. You can show how many posts that you want to show on a page at a time. So maybe I want 20, and I could show the full text or just a little summary, so it's not a really long scroll. Allow search engines to index a site. So a lot of things you just have to go through and look. Visitors must have a login, so if I don't want anybody just coming in, and that's not letting me click it, so that's probably an advanced change. So I click Save Changes. Same with discussions. I can click on those settings. These are the things that are the nitty-gritty where you get in and really decide how you want your blog to function. So articles, if they attempt to notify if any blogs linked from an article. So just different things. You go through and look and decide what you want them to do. Comment author must fill out their name and email, so they just can't write, "That's cool, man," without you knowing who wrote it. Enable threaded and nested comments. I would always check that and how deep you want that to go. So if it's a popular topic and everyone's discussing about it, maybe you want it 10 levels deep. You can break comment into pages with however many, and they should be displayed. You can decide how you want that. The newer at the top of each page. Hold comment in the queue if it contains 2 or more links. So sometimes if it has an IP or email address, so if you know somebody's, I don't know, this is where you can just get really detailed with it. Certain people are hacking in, you can block them from it. And blacklist words. So if I put in my curse words in there, it's not going to let them come through. You could show the avatars. Maximum rating, G for suitable audience, that's what it'll give them. And then these are the default avatars that they have. Media, oh, I didn't click Save Changes, but you would want to do that. Media tells you what you need in there, the size that you want them. I would just leave that at the normal setting. You can put your blog avatar in there so they know when you're talking, that's me, I look awesome. And so those are just the settings in general. So if I go up to my class, I can't actually create a class without it costing money. If I click Create a Class, it says right here, you know, upgrade to EduBlogs Pro. So that is unfortunate, I can't do that. But students can join, I can invite students and invite people to collaborate. So this is an invite code, and this, if I give them this code, they're a contributor. I could make another one, let's call it student, and maybe, or parents, and they're a subscriber, because these are my options. They can be a subscriber, they can contribute, author, editor, or an administrator. So I could work on this with another person in my building if it's kind of for the school. And they could be an editor or whatever I wanted. And they can create a blog in the process. With EduBlogs, what usually happens is the teacher has the blog and the kids create their own blog. And then they just link everything that you're talking about, they link out to their blog. I'm making hand motions as if you guys can see me. And then that's how the EduBlogs works the best. So I'd create a new invite code, and then that's what I would send to them. When I come up to, if I just wanted to make a post, so here are all of my posts, and I can do bulk actions too for all of them. I could say move them all to the trash or edit them. But if I want to add a brand new post, so I'm just going to say something for the day. And then I would put the directions here. Perhaps add the link. And I could click here, add a link. and I would want it to open in a new tab. So I could do as much or as little as I wanted inside of here. If I was in the middle of this and I was disrupted, I could save the draft and I could look at it later. I can look at it, or I can just right now say publish it. There are categories and tags, and those are all things that you could go through with the, as you walk through the setup process. And so if I go to my site now, it's right here. But please keep in mind, this is a horribly ugly site. But here's my message right now. The kids would click on it, and they would get to see my message and what's going on there. If I go back to my dashboard, this user guide under here is really helpful. It'll kind of walk you through, if you're ready for appearance and themes, comments, how to embed media, managing blogs. This will just give you step by step. If you're like, I don't even know what a widget is or a sidebar, how's all that working? You could click on it and it will take you through it step by step. So that was under user guides right there. You could add new pages. So when I'm on my class, I could go plus new. I could add a new page, just a new link. Anything I want to just very quickly add it and put it in there. And again, this help screen up here, I've never dismissed it. I just leave it up here. It's more about how to get started, adding an about page, checking your privacy settings, because when things start going awry, you need to figure out what's, if people are in there that aren't supposed to be and what's going on. And then you have your stuff up here so you can check your profile, change your color scheme. It looks a lot more complicated than KidBlog, but once you start going around and playing with it, it's very similar. And one thing before I hand it over to Jesus really quick, on the Symbaloo that I meant to share the first time, there's this check out class blogs. This list, so if you know you're an elementary school teacher and you're like, I want to use KidBlog, it's giving it by the grade level, different examples, and which platform they used, whether they used EduBlog, KidBlog, or Blogger. So if I'm a third grade teacher and I'm like, okay, I want to use Blogger, I'm like, okay, so I'm going to go check it out, see what they're doing, just to give myself ideas, which theirs looks pretty simple there. But they're up to date, April 2016, so they're keeping it going. But this is a great resource right here. So if you're in high school, even by specific subject areas, and it's telling you what they're using. So that was when you guys get the Symbaloo, it's the checkout class blogs right there. So I know that was general and quick, but you really do just have to get in and play with it, and you should be good. So Jesus, if you want to look at Blogger really quick.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, a little bit about Blogger. It is free, and you can use your Gates login. It is customizable, and there's no classroom management, so you have to be really careful with this one. Really vigilant if you're going to be using Gates because of the classroom management piece. Just so you know that the Blogger portion of it is available through the school district's filter, but when you go to view the blog itself, Blogspot itself is filtered by the CCSD. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and do a share and show you how to go ahead and use Blogger to create your blog. Okay, so I'm using Chrome right now, and when I am in Chrome, I can be logged in under my Google account. All I got to do is just go to blogger.com. And when you log into blogger.com, you'll notice that I already have a couple of samples that I've created. With Blogger, you are actually able to create up to 100 blogs per account. and that goes with the same with those student accounts. So just as an example of one of the blogs, how easy it is to create a blog, over here on the left hand side you're going to have your settings. Sorry, I'm trying to get it all into the screen here. And you're going to see where it says new blog. You click in there, you're going to hit title. So we're going to do a webinar blog. Just as an example, we could go ahead and type in webinar blog as our address. Oops, sorry, this blog is not available. So we're going to do webinar blog CCSD, and this one is available. Okay, and now I'm going to choose a theme. I'll just pick one of the ones that are here. So I'm just going to hit a simple one, hit create blog. Okay, and now it says find a domain name for your blog and connect it instantly. I don't want to do that right now because usually when you try to do something like this, it's going to ask you to pay for the domain name, so we don't want to do that. Alright, so here we are, webinar blog overview. It gives you a little bit of settings that you can work with. Over here on the left hand side, you have your overview, posts, pages, stuff that are tied in this webinar blog right now. If you go into your settings, over here on the left hand side under this webinar blog, you can change the address, you can change who has access to it. Right now it is a public account, a public blog, so anyone can have access to it. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my post here. And it says there's no post, so let's go ahead and create one. Can go back to this really quick. Alright, here we go. So you'll see that I have my 3 webinar blogs here, so I'm going to click on the webinar blog. I'm going to create a new post up here. And because this is tied, this is a part of Google, you have the same look. You have the same look that you would with when you're working with Google Docs and Google Sheets and stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and start off by just adding a quick picture. And when you add an image, you can do from this blog, you can do any of these here. So I'm just going to go ahead and choose a file. I had downloaded a few earlier, and we're going to do one with Ms. Mona Lisa. And once it's there, I'm going to hit Add Selected. So now I have my image there. I'm going to say a few words about it. This is Mona Lisa. And then I was going to ask the students if I was going to use this with my class, I could tell them, ask them to please write a comment about it. Please write a comment about the image. And as you guys can see, it does correct your spelling. There we go. Alright, so now if I wanted to preview what this is going to look like, I could just click on preview. And see how easy that was to create a blog on here? After I've done that, I'm going to close this window and go back to this one. And you have the options over here. Reader comments, you could allow them. You can make it so that they don't allow them, but because I want people to write comments about this image, I'm going to choose allow. One thing about Blogger is, I'm going to go ahead and publish this real quick. And I am going to get the option to add a few comments about it, but you will notice that over here where it says 2 under public, you could add more people. So if you wanted to only include people in Clark County School District, because I am using my Google Apps for Education account, that's the nv.ccsd.net, it is tied into the CCSD GAFE accounts. So I could just make it so it's only available to students and teachers and staff and anyone that has the nv.ccsd.net account. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and change it from public to this. Okay, I'm going to hit share now. Okay, so I'm under my blogs as well. Now one thing I wanted to point out is over here under the little gear on the right hand side, you'll notice that you have your Blogger help. If you click on that, it is your how-to with everything Blogger. So it gives you quick guides, how to get started, and everything I've shown you right here is available in step-by-step guides. Now I'm going to go ahead and go back to my blog. Okay, if I wanted to view the blog, I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to hit View Blog up on top. Now remember, because within the school district this may be blocked, your students will probably not be able to see this here. Okay, so looking at my blog now, I'm still under edit mode, and you'll notice that over here on the right hand side it has a picture of me, it's got my information, it has the ability to view my complete profile. Well, I don't want this information out there, so I can go ahead and click on the little handle that's underneath it that says edit, and I could uncheck the box that says show about me. Actually, I could just hit remove here, and it says are you sure? Okay, and now my picture and everything is gone up here. So one way to protect the students' privacy is to make sure to remove that little blog spot up there. Sometimes they'll like it if they're using avatars, but since I had my picture on there, I didn't want to have it out there for anybody. Okay, so now that it's shared, you notice that my address is up here, webinarblog.ccsd.blogspot.com. So if you share that with anyone that has an account, a GAPE account, because I limited it to anyone that's in CCSD, they'll have to use their nv.ccsd.net account in order to get on here. Okay. Going back to Blogger, you'll notice that now I have my webinar blog, I have my example of a DaVinci blog, a sample of the DLC blog. So any of those, I could click on it at any time, and I could always go to the settings on the left-hand side, and I could edit some of the permissions that are on here. So this one is a public account, a public blog that anyone will have access to. Okay. So I could create a new post from here, and just like I did before, it's very simple to use. I'm just going to hit close on this one. Okay, if anyone has any questions, please go ahead and don't forget that you have your Blogger help over here on the top right hand corner. Oh, let me show you a little bit of some of the examples of what you can do with DaVinci Blog, or with your Blogger, is you can embed, because it is tied into Google. YouTube is a part of Google. You can actually embed video quite easily. Images, anything that you want to put in here that's available on Google, you should be able to. As long as it goes through the filter, you'll be able to put it into your blog. Okay, so if anyone has any questions, I'm going to go ahead and get out of the screen share. Okay, and turn it back over to the rest of the crew.
Okay, I'm also just going to share out really quick the professional learning networks, just of how you can keep up to date with what's going on, you know, with blogging and things that you can do. So even, for example, this is it's called a Symbaloo, where I've curated all of this information to share out with you. Even on there, I put in some blog resources. A lot of you are on Edmodo. If you use Edmodo, there is a PLN. Oh, I'm not logged in anymore, but you could follow a community. If you type in blogging, there are people that are just going to be talking about blogging on there. If you're in your Google Apps for Education account, you have a Google Plus. And if you click to yours may look like this, or there's a new version that looks like this. But you could go to Communities and type in blogging, and it will give you, make sure I'm on my communities. So even as I started, I could see Blogger there. There's Blogger Plus, just blogging, and I can look at different communities. I could see there's 107,000 people in this community that are talking about blogging and different things. So I could choose to follow that if I wanted to. There's may even be just an EduBlog community, which there is. I could follow them and keep up with just, they've got the Teacher Challenge in there, so you could do it through Google+. Also, if you're even on Twitter, you can search. So I just searched Kid Blog and hear all kinds of things on Twitter about Kid Blog. If I typed EduBlogs, I'm sure I'd find the same thing. There's EduBlog Network, and you have to look and see, you know, who's doing what. That's only got 285 people following it, so it may not be that great. So maybe I want to follow the actual EduBlog. And then that just shows up in my feed, so, you know, 8,000 people following here. So it's just seeing what different people are doing across the campuses and across the nation. So Google+, Twitter, Symbaloo, all kinds of things. Edmodo, you can find resources for, you know, creating your professional learning network with blogging. All right. Mark, are you up, I think?
I think we're out of time, so we're going to wrap that up. We didn't even... are there any questions? Questions in the text chats? Let's address a couple of them. One question was, do students with Google accounts automatically have an associated Blogger account? Kirsten, you answered that. Do you want to go ahead and answer that right now for everybody to hear?
Sure. Yes, we all have teachers, students. As long as we have our CCSD Google account, we do have access to Blogger. However, Blogger by default is turned off on every campus. It's just a matter of requesting admin or having admin request that it be turned on for your campus. Not a difficult process, just a quick little form they send off and they flip a switch and Blogger's turned on. But yes, your students do have access to Blogger.
Were there any other questions? Stephanie says, if we don't have our CCSD Google account, how or when do we get it? Talk to your digital coach. If you are at a school that is not currently supported by a digital coach, send me an email. In fact, you can talk to me or send any of us an email, and we can give you the information on how to access your NVCCSD account. Thank you so much for being here today. I know we are out of time. Before you go, a couple of things we want to share with you. Do that last. Here is the blogging Symbaloo. Now, if you Lorenda, did you want to talk about this really fast?
I think if they just click on it, it'll open up in there. I'm going to click on it right now. And it's just a resource, so you just click on any of those links and it will take you out to those sites. You don't have to be a part of Symbaloo. And anytime I update it, it updates on yours as well. But there are a lot of good resources in there. So even like rubrics, things that we didn't even touch on. So it's a really good resource to have.
It doesn't seem to be clicking out, so I will send everyone that was here today a link to it. In fact, I'll wait. Yeah, I'll send everyone a link to it. If we could have you please...
I can put it in the chat really quick, too.
Okay, that would be great. And the last thing, if we could have you please take our quick exit survey before you leave. We so appreciate you being here, and let's give a round of applause to our digital coaches who did a wonderful job. If you have questions, stick around and we'll answer those questions. I'm going to stop the recording now.